YC Yavneh Media Arts Studio AFL Footy Podcast. I am your host, Mr. D, and this is week 2 of the Footy Finals without Collingwood in it. And I'm here this week with, we've got some great guests here, Josh, Zev, Miss Swialto, and Mr. G. And what's funny, Mr. G, is that apart from myself and you, there's something here that everyone is in common. What is that?
Yeah, I've noticed you've selected a whole host of Carlton fans, which you wouldn't know because they're not wearing any scarves, which we've seen all season. But
Oh, wow.
was it on purpose? You've chosen 3 Carlton fans to join us in the booth this week.
I think it was just, I just saw Slater, saw Zev in my class. I'm just like, oh, yeah. And then Miss Swialto, I'm like, oh, that would be great for the podcast. And then I'm like, hang on. Yeah, they are all Blue supporters. But look, let's talk about it. All I want to say about Carlton is this, is that there was all this talk about Carlton are just in the finals, making up the numbers, etc. And I'm like, no. It can't be like that. Because really, when you look back at that final on Saturday night, they didn't really make up any numbers. Because it was, for nearly the first half, Mr. G, they scored 0. It was a circus. And now people are going to say you are being too harsh with Carlton. I'm a Collingwood supporter. And all I've heard all year, Josh, from your crew in Year 11 is flaggers, and now it's just nothing.
I mean, look, to be honest, I think that Freo should have won the week before because, you know what, we didn't deserve finals, to be honest. But look at Collingwood's season.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, pretty upsetting. And Mr. G, I'm sure Melbourne, pretty upsetting season as a fan.
Well, they got to go to skiing earlier, though.
Really bad season this year.
Yeah. But, I mean, look, Mr. G, can I just say one more thing? Yeah, Carlton made the finals. They made it. And everyone keeps saying, oh, Collingwood didn't make it. We didn't make it. But in the end, mate, like, I'm the one laughing because I can go back and watch my 2023 Blu-ray of the Premiership. 1995 was a long time ago. And, you know, the paper bag era. We'll leave it at that. Now, Miss Swialto, how are you going?
It was expected.
All right, fair enough. So let's do a debrief on, Josh and Zev, can you give us a quick debrief on the Lions and Carlton game? What went wrong? And you guys did come back, so both of you just tell us what happened.
So unfortunately, if you guys don't know, we lost by only 28 points, but it should have been way more than that if you were watching the game. Quite an embarrassing performance on Carlton's behalf.
Would you say it was like a circus?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I've played that before. Zev?
No, I don't know if I was watching. Was I watching with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were watching together, and at halftime we turned over the Carlton jerseys and started going for Brisbane.
Well, that's typical Carlton behaviour, typical Bombers behaviour. Not Richmond. I actually know that the bandwagon's very empty these days. Melbourne, just cheese and skiing. Collingwood supporters are the most passionate.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I think also one of the most hated fan bases.
Oh, well, that's life, isn't it? Yeah.
It's I'd say that a lot of the fans hate Collingwood supporters because they don't understand when they speak because they have no teeth.
Oh, snap! That is, I'll clap you on that one. Good one. Okay, Zev, what about you, mate? What do you think?
I think we lost the game 5-6 weeks before it even happened.
Did Charlie play? No. Because it was just, their forward line was just like this. It was like nothing happening in that forward line. Anyway, keep going.
That is correct. Not much was happening. It was just very upsetting. No one really played well.
Yeah.
We had Hewitt.
Yep. He had a great game, actually. I think, 33 disposals and a goal.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't understand why Vossi dropped him halfway through the season and for a few games. I thought he was the backbone of our midfield along with Cripps and Walshy.
It was a sliding doors moment that cost us the season pretty much, dropping Hume.
I think you've touched on it well. I think throughout the season, Voss kept doing these strange things. Like Kennedy was sub 1 week and then full forward the next and taking Hewitt out the midfield. I just don't get what's going on with Vossi. A few strange decisions there, and I think you lost it at selection. You can't bring back 6 or 7 injured players into a final. The intensity is just way too much for that.
It's true. And to be honest, I thought watching the West Coast game and who did we play around 24? St Kilda.
Saints.
St Kilda,
Saints.
yeah, that was also an unfortunate loss. But watching like Ashton Moore, Jack Carroll, Cooper Lord, they're all like in pretty good form. They looked all right, and like keeping them on a streak, I think that would have been nice.
Yeah. I mean, you probably needed a Panadol during that final. I know a good pharmacy, but yeah, we'll leave it at that.
I was going to say as
Tony,
well.
Miss Swatlow, what do you think of the game?
I was going to say that I don't think the team that we brought in would have mattered. I think we would have lost regardless, but the team that we brought in did not help us win at all. I think the Kennedy decision to sub him off halfway through the second, where he has given everything all year, played ruck, forward, back, mid, wherever Vossi says go, he goes. He had a baby 2 days before.
Who had a
Flew up
baby?
His wife had a baby.
Ah, okay.
Flew up late, gave everything, didn't have to play to get subbed off. He was seething.
It just sounds like a lot of excuses. I had a baby, the flight, I didn't get the right food, it was too hot, it was too cold. There's always something. Oh, well, Mr. G, there's no scarves out. Anything else you wanted to add, Tani? Miss Swallow?
And TDK shouldn't have been the sub, but that's it.
There you go. All right,
Love
so
TDK.
let's do a quick debrief I've got here on Giants Lions. No, actually, hang on. Talk about the Cats game, Mr. G. Just briefly, what do you think of the Cats Sports game?
I think good old Port. They know how to let you down when it's the hardest moments. Home final. I remember they lost when the D's won the premiership in 2021. Port had a home prelim against the Doggies. You would take that any day.
Yep.
And they blew it. And once again, here we go. You're one win away from a home prelim, and 80 points in a final is just...
Never tear us apart. They tore the whole stadium down after that.
And I'm just waiting for the day for Geelong to not be good, but it just looks like that day is never coming.
I know. And our friend
Geelong, you
Mitchell,
say?
Mr. 1, 2, 3, 4, just, the Catters. I'm sick of hearing about Cardinia Park and their lack of finals. Anyway, whatever.
And it looks like the Doggies are about to add Bailey Smith to their list. So I just think they'll be thereabouts. And I saw a good quote before the game saying if you give their coach, Chris Scott, 2 weeks to plan for an opponent, they will never lose that game. And they won by 80 points.
Yeah.
They have the best coach in the league. Their list just doesn't look like it should be home prelim list. But here we are. They just always at the top. Well done, Geelong.
Interesting. Okay, let's have a quick chat about, I'll talk about the Hawk Bowl, Hawthorn Bulldogs. All my mates are all Hawk supporters, as you know. Ginnivan, yeah, look, I just...
Ginnivan's, I think, has brought the ducking to Hawthorn.
Yeah, he has, but also
everyone's doing it.
And now he's like doing his celebrations and he's in his Instagram, all this Generation Z Alpha thing. See you in 2 weeks to Brody Grundy. How dare you, mate? Just play the game. You can't be doing that. I sound like I'm on SEN. Back in my day, Mr. J, we never did that. I know, like, it's a bit of banter, but really, see you in 14 days. It's just, as we called it back in the 90s, it's a jinx.
I'd love to know that if he was still at Collingwood, would you be saying the same thing?
How dare you? How dare you?
I have the receipts to confirm that Mr. Ginnivan was a very much loved member of Dasker and the Collingwood Army.
He was, and then he decided to, whatever happened. He's just, yeah.
Look, I like what he does on the field. He can give it, but he can then show that he's good enough to play. But yeah, off the field, don't start saying you're going to win yourselves an away final interstate. Like, go out, just play the game.
Hawks did well, so we'll leave it at that. We'll get to our first game. So we were meant to do a quick debrief. Oh, yeah, Mr. G, on the Swans-Giants game. What did you want to say about that?
I said last podcast that Doggies and Hawks would be the game of the round, but how wrong I was. That Swans-Giants game was probably one of the best finals I've ever watched.
Yeah.
In terms of how close it was, the intensity, the football we almost saw goal of the year. We saw mark of the year.
Goal of the year and mark of the year both in finals, I reckon.
Yeah.
Jez's was
I'm sorry. Dacos, 2 goals of the year he's been nominated for, and Jamie Elliott and Bobby Hill. Mr. G, don't touch the mic. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that
I've-
because it's just round 1 to 24. Leave it at that. Why break traditions? Why do we need to keep
disagree.
changing everything?
I think that mark from Heaney is one for the ages. But even
Yeah.
then, just his performance.
The guy held him as he fell down. Oh God. Anyway,
His performance. Let's ignore the mark. His performance was one of the best finals performances I've seen from a single player. He looked at halftime and said, "Man, someone's got to lift us." And Kingsley has never lost from a winning position at three-quarter time, 23-0. And Isaac Heaney took it upon himself and said, "Not today."
yeah, kind of like Bobby Hill in 2023 Grand Final. Bobby Hill, Norm Smith Hill. Anyway, let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about the first game which we've got, which is going to be Hawks versus Port. Miss Swatlow, give us your debrief on that.
I think Hawks will win. I think Port gave up on the weekend. Like
Mm.
there was an instance where ball could have been kept alive. Connor Rosie didn't even attack. Did he even play? Like he had 16 disposals. I think that's one of his lowest at Adelaide Oval. He just was non-existent. They had no leadership. I just think that it's hard to come back from that, especially when Hawthorn are in good form. And I also think they'll want revenge for Darcy Byrne-Jones kicking that goal last
Mm.
time they played. So I think
remember that.
Hawks will win.
Interesting. Zev, what do you think?
On the Hawks game, I
Yeah.
think the Hawks should get it done. Port looked very lackluster and uninterested this weekend, but they are the more experienced side, and I believe they've got a very strong list. Hawks might be more talented, but they're more polished, I think.
To be
Well-
honest, I think that like the whole final series, every team has the possibility to win.
Yes.
I generally think that I have
Because Collingwood's not in it. Anyone can win it, really.
Yeah,
I mean, and yeah.
Collingwood was
Carlton
never
could have
in the
won it
picture. I
if,
don't
like,
know.
they just
No, to be honest, before the final series even started, I was said all the teams could win except Carlton.
Yeah.
I think anyone on a good game, anyone on a good game, like any team on a good game, sorry, has an opportunity to win. It's really hard to say. I think it could be anyone in the final.
So who's your
And,
tip for Port Hawks then?
I would really hope Port to win because I think on a better day, Port are better. And in terms of the Hawks, I really think they're a bit too cocky, like around, especially in the second half of the season. I've had enough of the
Yeah.
selfies and
Yeah.
all the TikTok dances and whatever it is.
Play the game.
Yeah, play the
Play
game.
the game. Don't play hashtag. Just play the game. What happened to the old 80s, 90s Hawks that I knew when I was growing up? Back in my day, Dermot Brereton wouldn't be posting a selfie.
It is true. I mean, cameras.
Just play the game,
yeah.
Ginnivan. You're ducking and you're... Oh, he just
I
annoys
just think-
me.
I
Now I
just-
know. I'm starting to feel what you felt, Brent.
Last time you told Ginnivan to play the game, I think he had 30 touches and 2 goals against Collingwood.
Yeah, well, it was wet that night. I was there. It was raining, okay?
I just think Daska's a bit upset that Ginnivan's playing better for Hawthorn than Collingwood.
I just think that I'm really upset that I can't go to the finals and watch Collingwood win another grand final until next year. Oh, snap. Oh, no, wrong one.
Why is that, Daska? Why can't you go this year?
Because we didn't make it. And don't forget, Zev, that Geelong didn't make it this year. And look at them now. We're gonna be doing that. You're going to be scared of Collingwood next year, let me tell you. Anyway, enough about Collingwood. Stop talking about Collingwood, everyone.
One more thing about Collingwood.
Yeah.
No one quite realised Collingwood missed finals to Carlton on percentage.
And I think everyone forgot this also, Josh and Miss Swatlow, that Collingwood beat Carlton twice this year and the year before to kick you out of the finals. It's just, we live rent-free. Anyway, can we just stop talking about Collingwood? Okay, listen, let's get to it. Wrong button. Okay, so now we're going to talk. So our tips, I'm going for, I think Port, I said this to Mr. Home, I don't see Port dropping, going out straight sets. They're not Melbourne. Sorry, Mr. G. They have to win this. They have to. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I've got a feeling that with they've lost Frost as well, Hawthorn.
Yep.
They've got no Will Day. I think it's all going to come crashing down. They will be. What's that word? I'm not an English teacher. What's that word when you're like, it's like they've got,
Typical Collingwood supporter not finding the words. For the
I
sentence.
can't. They will be not grounded. They will be. What's that word?
Humbled?
Humble. Who said that?
I did.
There we go.
Who said I?
You got there in the
Zev.
end. Well done.
Good, thank you. Yeah, humbled. Okay, the next game we're going to be talking about is the Giants versus the Lions. You know what? I love their Giants. I love that song. Bum, 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 bum. And the big
What a
sound,
catchy song.
the orange tsunami really did kind of choke. And I was a bit annoyed because I actually don't like any of the Sydney teams, but I do have a soft spot for Grundy after what Melbourne did to him. Definitely. After what Melbourne disgracefully did to him, I got a soft spot for him and Tay Adams. But Toby Green, and I can't stand Papley either. So I'm torn between what to do. My tip for that game, the Giants-Lions, that's going to be a hard one to tip. It's at the Giants' home ground, but I reckon the Giants are going to get the job done because Lions, when you put pressure on them, you saw what happened. Like, I know they smashed Carlton and all that, but just when you put too much pressure on Lions, they start to freak out a bit. Like, those two misses within, like, 30 seconds of each other? They were up by, like, 30 points at that time, and that's what happened. That is typical Lions. Mr. G, we'll start with you.
Yeah, Lions goal kicking has been a bit of an issue all year, but I think in terms of football, they're not the team I would want to play. And it highlights how bad of a choke that was by Giants. Instead of having a home prelim final against Port or Hawthorn, they've now got to play the Lions, who, if you go back to, I think, round 8, they are the number 1 informed team in the league.
Wow.
And then they've got to play Geelong in Melbourne. So they really did the dirty on themselves, and they've got to pick themselves up after that loss and play Brisbane coming off a win. That's not an easy one. I like the Giants football more than any team in the finals, but I think psychologically they might be shot. I'm tipping an upset and going Brisbane.
Wow. Okay. Miss Swatlow?
I initially thought Giants, but towards the end of that game, I remember thinking, how are they going to have to back this up with another performance? Lions goal kicking is a really big issue. I'm on the fence, but I'm leaning more towards the Giants just because it's at home, and I don't know how often Brisbane play there.
Zev?
For this game, I think I have to go Lions. I think, as Mr. G said, they're one of the best football sides. They play a very good brand of football, and I see that especially come finals.
Yeah.
I don't think the Giants have they have the experience, but they don't have the I'd say maturity, but it's not 100% correct to keep up with such a polished, talented side.
For me, I think it could be anyone. Like, once again, I already said, like, anyone could win the finals. In terms of who can play at their best, I reckon Brisbane on a better day can beat GWS. I think GWS at their best and Brisbane at their best. Brisbane are unstoppable. Lachie Neale, Hugh McCluggage, Joe Daniher, Charlie Cameron, they're all big stars for Brisbane Lions. They're, I think, very hard to beat. A lot of depth on them, very strong defensively. Also obviously working on their set shot accuracy. I think they can get the job done.
They can't play at the MCG. They're going to have to play Geelong the week after, which I'm going to have to buy a ticket for our mutual friend, and he wants to probably go. I'll be there as an MCC member with my cheese platter. Oh, no, hang on. I'm not a Melbourne supporter. Where's that button? But I tell you what, we know what happened with Brisbane at the MCG last time. It was very close, and, So, look, we're getting into this part of the podcast near the end, which is my favourite part, Mr. G. You'll love this. It is the big calls, huge calls of... So we're going to make this clear. I'm going to ask everyone a huge call for this week of the finals, one thing that you think could happen. So we'll start off with Mr. G. Big call.
I'm not sure how big it is, but I think if Port Adelaide lose a home final to Hawthorn, Ken Hinkley has to pack his bags.
Wow, big call. Okay. Miss Swatlow, what is your big call?
I was going to say similar, but I think a key piece that was missing for the Giants last week was Toby Bedford. I think if he went to Chad Warner, Chad had an unbelievable impact in the second half, particularly last quarter. I think if he does a big job on Lachie Neale, that can be a massive decider in that game.
Okay. Interesting. Zev, what's your huge call?
I think Joe Daniher to kick at least 5.
Daniher to kick 5 against the Giants. Okay.
I'd probably say GWS are going to lose by 80 points and Hawthorn are going to lose by 80 points.
Wow, that is huge. Okay. My big call is this. Ginnivan is going to get hit by someone and get subbed off after what's happened, I think. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure. Not pressure, there's going to be a lot of focus on him. There's going to be a few scuffles. I don't know if he'll get knocked out or anything, but I think it's going to be, it'll be very fiery, that Port game, and I've got a feeling Port are going to come away with it. That's my huge call. Your calls are ridiculous, but anyway. Very heavenly. Okay.
There's a reason it's called a big call.
Yeah, true. Now, I think, everyone, I'm pretty sure that's the end of the podcast. We've gone 20 minutes, and we only talked about Collingwood for about, 17 of them? Thank you, Mr. G, for everything. Thank you, Miss Swialto, for joining us. Thank you, Zev, and thank you, Josh, for the banter. I'm going to remember that. You're not coming back. All right, well, look, thank you, everyone at Yavneh. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week on the LYC AFL Media Studio podcast right here, live from
Go back
Yavneh
is
College.
Cripper for Brownlow.
Ah,
Brownlow.
Dacos, whisper, bit of shush. Shh.